Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you're located. Welcome to another episode of Crypto Trader. Let's see who we got in the room today. And I do apologize, I'm a little under the weather, not feeling too well. Brett Turtle, Rocky Mountain High, what is up, buddy? Ray, let's see who else we got. Got a couple people in the room. But yeah, happy Friday. It is Friday. It's the start of the weekend. So we'll see what kind of rocky situation we have with this crazy crypto market that we're dealing with. But yeah, just a little disclaimer, for anybody that's new, and that's just to let everybody know that I'm not a licensed financial advisor. And what I do talk about in these videos is not to be used as a trading advice. So, if that's something you're looking for, please consult a licensed financial advisor. And only use these things that I talk about for educational purposes and only educational purposes. You definitely have to do your own diligence because really, at the end of the day, you're risking your own money. So I don't want to see anybody lose any money. Andrea, welcome, buddy. Hope all is well. Yeah, I know you were going on vacation, but yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Strong hands, strong hands. I don't know, Daniel, do you have strong hands? Yeah, Andrea, man. Yeah, enjoy your vacation, bud. Have fun, man. But yeah, thanks for dropping by. It's always much appreciated. Marianne, yeah, dude. Thank you, man. I seriously, I got to thank you for talking to me yesterday. Marianne was the winner of how many Ethereum Classics I bought and what price I bought those Ethereum Classics at. He was the one that answered the question correctly. So yesterday we had a very nice Skype conversation. So Marianne, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And you were really the first, viewer that I've actually, had a verbal conversation with. Aside from, ECS, Dylan, and Henry, those guys are business partners of mine. So, I do talk to them on a regular basis. Wild times right now. GST Arthur, welcome. Yes. Bitcoin is going up. It really is going up. And this is the trend that we've seen in the past, a while back when I was kind of starting these live streams where, Bitcoin would go up, altcoins would go down and vice versa. But, that's currently what we're seeing now. That trend kind of went away for a very long period of time. But Bitcoin is up 7% and everything else is down. Litecoin is down 2.5%. Ether is down 5%. Let's see what else. Ethereum Classic is down, 4.5%. So everything is really down today. So we'll see. We'll see. People are accumulating Bitcoin. And hopefully transferring it to their hard wallet, or transferring it to an exchange that will actually support it. And Bitfinex is one of the ones that will support the hard fork. And little thing about Bitfinex is that they're actually not going to be calling the new coin when they do the hard fork. They're not going to be calling it Bitcoin. They'll call it Bitcoin Cash, but it will not be BCC, as other exchanges will have that ticker as BCC for Bitcoin Cash. But BCC is already taken on Bitfinex by Bitcoin Core. So they're actually going to be calling it BCH for, I guess, Bitcoin hard for the hard fork. So that's going to be, causing a little bit of confusion with some of the people that are trading on a different platform, and then possibly looking to do some arbitrage where it's under a completely different ticker symbol. But, they are supporting the hard fork. So, whoever has any Bitcoins on Bitfinex will actually get, Bitcoin Cash as well, too. So that is a nice thing where they're not treating it like Coinbase, where Coinbase is just not going to give you Bitcoin Cash. So you're either forced to just keep it there and not take advantage of the hard fork coin, or move it out of that exchange. Let's see what else we got in this room. Elijah Core, welcome. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate the comment. Marion, actually, man, hats off to you, man, for wanting to do that Skype call. So thank you so much, man. It's really hats off to you. I really enjoyed that conversation. Yeah, smack that like button. 26 people. Pound that like button. Especially if you're regular, you're coming on here on a regular basis. You must like something about this live stream. So, help us out, pound that like button. And if you're new to this, don't forget to click on the subscribe button as well as the post notification so that you're notified every time the live stream has been scheduled. And stay connected with us on Steemit, Twitter, as well as Facebook. And, we do simultaneously stream these on those platforms. So if you are watching this from those platforms, thank you so much. We do appreciate your support. Crypto never sleeps. BTC to 3,000. For it to really go up, 250 bucks, that's not much for BTC. Can it do it? We'll see. As long as there's more buying that's going on because people want to take advantage of, the Bitcoin Cash, then yes, there isn't much selling that's going to be happening. It's all going to be buying. So yes, that will cause the price to go up when the buyers outweigh the sellers. Yes, Bitcoin Cash is going to be called BCH on Bitfinex only that I know of. I don't know anywhere else that they're going to be calling it BCH. Oh, sweet. Bittrex is supporting Bitcoin Cash. You know what? I actually logged on to Bittrex the other day. I haven't logged on in a while. I just usually kind of go to their website and just click on market where I can, view some of the stuff. But I haven't logged on in a very long time. When I logged on, I was like, oh, I got like 50,000 Satoshis in BTC. I was like, let me see if I can move those. And yeah, it wouldn't allow me to move them, wouldn't allow me to sell them, wouldn't allow me to do anything. So I'm kind of glad that they are supporting the hard fork. And I guess I'll get a little bit of the BCC. Your strong hands will break the chain coin. I wish it was actually on an exchange that I like, or an exchange that I could actually do the charting on. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that I did talk about on the last live stream. And I covered OMG as well as, I think it was EOS that I covered. But we're going to take a look at OMG because really I still do want to get a position in OMG. I've not taken a position in OMG yet. I wanted that dollar. It got to $1.02 and change. And then, of course, it bounced up. So when we drew out these trend lines, I forget what it was, Monday or Wednesday it was. When I drew out these trend lines, I said, one or two things could really happen. It could get wedged in here. And these are 1 hour charts that we're looking at. So each candlestick represents 1 hour's worth of price action and 1 hour's worth of price movement. And I said, it could get wedged in here and have a nice little pop. Let's go ahead and get a little granular zoom into the 30-minute chart. So now it didn't get wedged in, per se, but it did have a nice pop. And I did say, what, if it gets wedged in and it pops up, the upper trend line is really going to be the resistance. So that resistance really, it held up pretty well, to be honest with you. It did break above it a little bit, but it wasn't a confirmed breakout above that trend line to have a nice momentum to the upside like it did, right over here, basically. Let me enlarge this. So I'll get rid of the chat just for a little bit. It wasn't a parabolic move when it actually broke above the trend line. So it wasn't a confirmed breakout for traders to say, okay, you know what? It broke above that resistance. It broke above that trend line. Let me take a position in this. And if a lot of traders do that exact same thing, that's going to cause a parabolic move to the upside. And it would have probably touched a 150, 160-ish. But as we can see, she broke above it a little bit, got pushed right back down, attempted to break above it. And it did for a little bit, got pushed back down. So it's just basically been hovering, within that trend line and just kind of channeling it a little bit, except for today where it decided to kind of completely break below that trend line. And, we'll see if she gets down to that 102, $1 range, which is a very good support for it. And that's really the position that I'm still looking to get into. I'm not looking to chase this thing because if I would have chased it and, decided not to take my profit at 125, 130 for some apparent reason, because I'm only human, emotions take control. I do try to be very consistent with where I'm taking my profits. But let's just say I didn't take my profits because I got a little bit greedy and I was thinking, oh, you know what? This is breaking above the upper trend line. This is going to easily hit 150, 160 all-time high. What do you know? Completely faked out. So that's why I say, you know what? Lock in profits along the way. It doesn't hurt to lock in those profits at all. Don't get greedy. Yes, it's okay to leave a little bit of money on the table. It's going to happen. You can't win them all. Yes, we want a bigger slice of that pie, but sometimes you got to kind of leave the crust for somebody else to take. So yeah, taking profit at 125, taking profit at the 130 that I said. The 130 was really the resistance. And she had a nice break to that 140 level before really breaking back down. So, this is going to have a new channel. It's going to have a new trend channel unless she decides to get back above, the lower trend line and hover or stay within this trend line. And, a while back, she stayed within the trend line, had a crazy parabolic move. She basically veered off track, on the positive side, of course, before coming back and getting back on track and staying within that trend line. And then eventually, she kind of broke down. So, and that's going to happen, so she might hop back on that trend line again and continue within those two trend lines, or she could continue to just break down. So we're going to really heavily pay attention to this. This weekend is going to be tough for me to follow cryptocurrency. I got 4 of my buddies that are coming up into town, college buddies that I haven't seen in a very long time. And we all try to get together once a year just to kind of catch up. So this year it's kind of for me to host them at my house. So they're coming up. 2 of them are coming up tonight, and then the other 2 will be coming up tomorrow. So it'll be a crazy time in State College, Pennsylvania. And for a majority of you that might not know, State College is basically, it's a football town, but it's a drinking town with a football problem is usually what they say. But it's usually the other way around. It's a football town with a drinking problem, and it's got a bad drinking problem. So this weekend is going to be a little rough. Plus, you got a lot of students that are moving into town. But yeah, so we'll see exactly what this is going to do, but I won't be able to follow this. But I'll have open orders in the book in case it does hit my price of entry. But yeah, but this thing held up pretty nice, staying within that trend line that I drew out. But of course, she hopped off the track now, so we'll see what she does. Let me get to some of the comments, see who else is here. Jing, welcome, buddy. Yeah, I still need to get in touch with you about doing that call with TJ. Let's see what I think about Mysterium. I don't know. I've never heard of Mysterium, decentralized VPN. I'll put that on my list, just for me to, if I have time, I'll do a little bit of research. But I can't guarantee that I'll be able to get to it today on this live stream. Why is Bitcoin Plus and Bitcoin Dark up? Man, I've seen Bitcoin Dark and Bitcoin Plus take off. I mean, that one point that Bitcoin Plus was up 3,000%, while Bitcoin Dark was up like 600, 700%. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. I don't know why it's up, to be honest with you. I haven't looked at Bitcoin Dark in a long time, and I've talked about Bitcoin Dark before when it was basically 0.01, I think it was, and then it had a nice run to like 0.035, had a really nice run up. And I know with Bitcoin Dark, there is a link with Komodo where you could actually trade or exchange your Bitcoin Dark tokens for 50 Komodo tokens. I don't know if that ended, but that was what was going on a while back, and that was what was really causing the price to increase because people wanted to get Komodo, especially for a ratio of 1 to 50. So that's why they were buying up Bitcoin Dark. Because they have the word Bitcoin in front of them. Yeah, dude, you never know. Newbies really coming into this market, they might think, oh, Bitcoin Plus, Bitcoin Dark, that's the one I got to purchase. And they end up purchasing that accidentally, not knowing that that's not the true Bitcoin. That's a possibility. When is Dogecoin hitting $1? Probably never. I'm sorry, Daniel. Sorry to say that, dude. I would love it. I mean, my son has, I forget, I think like 100,000. I got to look at it and see how much he has. But yeah, I don't think it's going to get to $1. A penny would be great. That's a little more realistic. Penny would be great, but not anytime soon. Not unless it gets pumped, or unless they lower the float, the outstanding circulating coins. Towards the end of my kid's life, probably like my kid's life, if it's still around. Yep, exactly. I didn't even see that message, Andrew, below where you said towards the end of your kid's life. Yeah, my kid's life. Absolutely right, dude. But yeah, he'll be holding that for a very long time. Thoughts on EMB, MBRS, MSP? Never looked at any of those, to be honest with you. I have them on my list, but yeah, I've never looked at them. So I'll write it down and see exactly, maybe later on I'll have time to do a little bit of research. How was Ethereum? I don't know. What do you mean? How was it? How's it doing now? Pretty crappy, if that's what you mean. How's it doing now? I mean, $192. Yeah, that's not much for it at all. Maybe they mistaken it for BTC. Yeah, anything is a possibility, to be honest with you. Anything's a possibility. But let's go ahead and take a look at, what was the other one that I actually had covered? EOS. EOS is still holding up pretty well. I mean, 184 is not bad for it at all. I don't think I'm going to cover SAN or even IOTA. You know, those two really haven't been doing much at all. OMG is really the one that has been making some nice moves to the upside as well as breaking down too. So I mean, you know, you could really make money both ways if you were into shorting. I'm not into shorting, but if you were into shorting, you know, you can make money on the upside as well as the downside. But you know, it's a risk you take basically. Ripple 16.4, 16.48 basically. But let's go ahead and take a look at EOS. And of course, nothing is showing up. Let me look at the 30-minute chart because for some reason it does not want to pull up any of the charting that I did. Nope, not at all, unfortunately. Let's see if this even. I had issues today with Bitfinex. It was giving me an error when I was logging in, but it doesn't even want to load up the whole chart on the 30 minutes. So unless the charts are working properly, it's very hard to chart any of these. I don't know. Can you guys tell me exactly, you know, on this chart that I'm looking at now, what you guys see? You see anything that would kind of stand out? Let's see if anybody gets it right. Anything on EOS that kind of stands out from the chart that I have on the screen? Let's see if we see the same thing on OMG. And unless you're really looking for these, you're not gonna find them, to be honest with you. Hopefully I'm not on mute. If I'm on mute, let me know, guys. I shouldn't be. Andrew, the well dump. All right, let me go back to EOS. So basically, I mean, when you're looking at a chart, you're looking at patterns. You know, that's basically what you're looking for. And I don't know if you guys see any patterns that I'm looking at right now on this chart. Patrick, welcome, buddy. It's been a very long time. Hope all's well. Reverse head and shoulder. You know, I wasn't even looking for that. And this is a 1 hour time frame that I'm looking at for a reverse head and shoulder. Let's see, maybe on a larger time frame, possibly. Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, yeah, you know, this would be the shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, of course, the head, but it didn't break down at all. Yeah, that wasn't the pattern I was looking for. Definitely not the pattern. I can definitely see it on the 3 hour chart. I can see it on a 1 hour time frame chart. But what do you guys see? I'll zoom in. Triple bottom. Yes. Let's see. I mean, double bottom, of course, you know, or let's see on this candlestick here. 1, 2. Yeah, yeah, triple bottom. I wasn't looking for the triple bottom, but the triple bottom is there. Let's see if anybody gets it right. Breck, you're funny, man. That's awesome. Let's see. What's reverse head and shoulder called? Head in your ass. Oh, excuse me. What are my thoughts on the upcoming August 1st? Yeah, we can briefly talk about that. Danny Baker, the touchdown maker. You are back, man. glad to see you on this live stream. Yes, cup and handle, exactly. Several spots where there were cup and handle formation. Now, is it a very symmetrical cup and handle? No, but it's still a cup and handle, because we've had this. Let me put a circle here. Let me go ahead and change this color to something that might stand out. So basically, yeah, I mean, there's a cup right here. Let me erase this and then we'll do a better line. You got the cup here. You got the handle. Normally the handle forms, I don't know why that's deleting. Normally the handle forms a lot longer. But you got the cup right there. You got the handle. Probability on a cup and handle formation, it's not all the time, guys. Just remember this, please. It's not all the time. It's not 100% proof. It's not the crystal ball for you to jump into a trade, because it could easily break down and not really form a true cup and handle, and the probability of it having a nice upward tick or a nice breakout. But it did. The probabilities of it happening are very probable, and that's kind of the way I look at trading. Is what are the probabilities of it doing this? If this happens and this happens and this happens, and as long as it happens continuously, your probabilities are a lot higher of it to repeat the same thing again. So we got the cup, we got the handle. Let me zoom in so you can kind of see the handle. I don't want that. I don't want that either. All right, well, we'll leave that line there. All right, so we got the cup, we got the handle. And basically, I mean, this is a small handle. So for a nice symmetrical cup and handle, I mean, this is still a cup and handle formation. I mean, we have this nice little uptick here. Usually, I don't want to see this type of uptick in the middle of the cup, basically. But it's still a cup and handle. It'll probably look more of a defined cup and handle on a larger time frame if you look at it instead of an hour or 30 minutes. But yeah, it came right up to where it basically kind of broke down from. It broke down from this level here on this candlestick. It came down, and when it breaks down again to form a true handle, it's going to come right back up to that level, or a little below that level. And as long as it doesn't break above that level, above the previous high before it decided to completely break down, you know that you're going to have a true cup and handle formation, and you just got to wait for that handle to really form before jumping in a trade. And here's the handle. It's really 3 hours worth of price action movement where it formed a nice handle down to 172, and then from 172 it had a nice little breakout. So you would have probably, if you were looking at this and looking for this, you might have had an entry at 175, possibly 180. And then your exit strategy would have been, 195, somewhere in that range for a 30-cent profit or, 25-cent profit. But why did it pull back from this 198? It's because of what it's telling you. I mean, you got to look at the history. You got to look at the past of what's really happening. And if you really look at this to say, okay, you know what? It formed a cup. It formed a handle. I got in this trade at the handle. Where am I going to get out? You always want to have that plan of execution of where you're going to get out. And if you look at the charts, really, let me get out of this. We can kind of see a bigger formation of this. And if you really look at the history, it's going to tell you, it's more than likely going to tell you what it's going to do in the future. So it completely broke down. If I can get this to work, broke down from here, broke down from here. So there was these two spots that it completely broke down from. It just had a hard time getting back up. So when it formed the cup, it formed the handle and had a nice little uptick breakout, then that would have been this resistance for it to break down from again. I wouldn't have been holding anything past that point because I know twice it got rejected. I would hold a little bit to see if it does completely break out and has a nice breakout above it. Why is this not working? Okay. I would keep a little bit because, like I said before, you want to sell in increments. You don't want to sell everything in case it does break out, and then you're missing a larger slice of the pie. But in this situation here, it didn't break out at all, but you would still lock in whatever it is, a quarter, a third of your position, because of what has told you in the past in the history that, yes, it is possibly going to be breaking down from that point. And if you do lock in a third of your position or a quarter of your position, you have the profit, you have the capital to buy back in again at a cheaper, possibly lower price. But if it does decide to break out above that 198, then you have a third left, or you have 2/3 of your position left, or 3/4 of your position left to take a bigger slice of the pie, and then that bigger slice of the pie would be somewhere in the range of 210, 212. But yeah, very good cup and handle formation. And if you're really looking for these, I'm not always looking for them because there's just so many different things that are going on in my mind. But I just need to make a mental note to kind of look for these very specific patterns, the head and shoulder fake, the cup and handle, the inverted head and shoulder, as somebody called it, the head in your ass type of formation. Who was that? Breck. That was Breck that said it. But yeah, I mean, we can look for these in tons of spots. And that's kind of what we'll do today is, we're going to look for these head and shoulder formations. And you're going to see that majority of the time, the probability of them having a nice uptick is very probable. But sometimes they don't, to be honest with you. All right, here's another cup and handle formation right here. So there are people that just play continuously cup and handle. That's all that they look for. There's a cup, not much of a handle, but it's there. The handle's there, but it's not much. I would have probably been waiting for it to kind of break down further and maybe get to 185 for it to be a completely true handle, but it's still a handle nonetheless. And from that low of basically 190, it did have a nice little uptick to 212, 213. So that's another cup and handle formation there. But let's see. Let's keep going and see if we find any more cup and handle formations. There's another cup. There's a handle. There's an uptick. There's a cup. But the thing is about this cup right here, if you look at it, it broke out above the previous high. So it broke out above this high right here. So this really is not a true formation of a cup. It is, yes, it is a cup. But it's not going to be a true formation where the probability of it having a nice uptick is going to be there. As we can see, it broke out above this previous high before it decided to, before it decided to form that cup. And it did form a little bit of a handle, but considering this one up, I would have looked at this and said, no, this is not a true cup and handle formation. I have no clue what this is going to do considering it broke out above the previous high. And what do you know? It didn't do what a true cup and handle formation would normally do because it broke down from there on. But if you look at here, it had a cup because it didn't break out above this high here. It came close to it, formed a handle, and then had a nice uptick. Let me get rid of all this crap because that's just way too much stuff on here. And we're going to take a look at, some of the other cryptocurrencies too, and, find those cup and handle formations. And if you're really looking for them, they can be very profitable, but you don't want to overstay your welcome in that trade. There's got to be a way for me to clear all this. There we go. Remove all drawings. Okay. So, these cup and handle formations can pay off, especially if you're looking at them on a larger time frame. 1 hour seems to be, it's pretty far out. We're not looking at the 5-minute candlestick and determining if there's a cup and handle formation on it. The probabilities of having a nice cup and handle formation and doing what it's supposed to do is going to be more defined on a larger time frame. But yeah, so on a larger time frame, this could still possibly be forming the handle. But on a shorter time frame, it does have a nice uptick. But on a longer time frame, we might see this handle actually even go down further, maybe to the 160-ish. Usually, what I've seen in the past is they like to come down at least a third of the way. And if they come down a third of the way, that's going to put it right around the possibly 170 range before possibly it has a nice little uptick to the upside. But let's go back to OMG and look for those cup and handle formations. Monero made one too. Yeah, we can take a look at Monero. But yeah, so this is a 6-hour candlestick, 6 hours. So, there are cup and handle formations on this. So there's a cup, there's your handle, and there's liftoff basically. And, with this thing here, it moved up nicely within this trend line that I drew out a couple of days ago. And it didn't break down at all after having a nice move up from the formation of the handle. But, it didn't break down at all, which I was surprised. If we look at these candlesticks representing 6 hours worth of price action, price movement, these are nice candlesticks. They're full body candlesticks just about, where buyers really intensified and really took this and made it a confirmed breakout where it just wasn't, breaking out just above that trend line, the upper trend line, and then having a crazy wick and then breaking right back down. I mean, this thing, took off with a vengeance. But yeah, that's a nice cup, nice handle, nice uptick. Let's see if we see more of this on a shorter time frame, because there is probably going to be a cup and handle formation somewhere in here, but you got to be able to look at it on a smaller time frame. So of course here, it would have been a nice cup, but it had a complete breakout. So here would have been a nice cup, but there was no handle that formed. It was just a complete breakout. So if you were waiting for this, saying, you know what, I'm going to play this 1 hour chart, the cup that's possibly forming here, I'm going to wait for the handle to form. And the handle normally would have formed here, but no, the handle never formed at all. It just basically kind of went somewhat parabolic with these 2 little candlesticks here. Well, not so little, but it did have a nice crazy uptick there. Let's see if we see anything else. Oh, I got rid of my trend. So it's okay. I can draw that out later. But yeah, this thing is still. I'm waiting for this thing to really start forming, to really kind of come back down to that nice support level of 101, $1 range. $1 is really what I want to pick it up at. But I wouldn't mind getting it at 102. Considering 102, what was that level that it hit? 102.45. So 102.5. Would not be a bad level for me to kind of look at and say, you know what, let me try to take an entry just a little above the low that it had actually set. And that would be a very good resistance there. All right, let's see if I'm on mute. Oh man, I was on mute. Basically, what I was talking about was just kind of getting my trend lines back on there. For some apparent reason, I had accidentally deleted them. But yeah, thank you for whoever told me I was on mute. Marianne, thank you so much. Danny, let's take a look at Monero, because you just said there was a head and shoulder, or not head and shoulder, a cup and handle formation. Yeah, Dylan, thanks, man. I just got your text message. All right, let's see Monero. Daniel, should I use Should I use margin and second mortgage my house to invest? I actually just did a reverse mortgage on my house, man. I just bought it like, a month ago. So I did a reverse mortgage and put everything into cryptocurrency. No, I'm kidding, guys. No, do not use margin. I've said it before, and do not take out a second mortgage. Do not put any money that you're not willing to lose into this. I know it was a joke. I'm hoping it was a joke, Daniel. Sarah, yes, it happens to all of us. I've, in the past, I mean, that's really what I focused on was patterns, and really trying to recognize patterns. But if you're not in front of your computer saying, you know what, these are the patterns I'm going to look for today, you're not going to see them, to be honest with you. A while back, I never saw the head and shoulder fake on ETC until ECS actually, text me or send me a screenshot of it. And he said, what do you make of this? And I was like, wow. I'm like, that's a very symmetrical head and shoulder fake. I was like, I'm surprised I never saw it. And what do we know what happened with ETC? It completely broke down. But yeah, if you're not looking for them, you can study them, you can try to embed them into your head. But if you're not looking for it, then, you will not find it. All right. Cup and handle formation on this. Yeah, Dylan, definitely. I'm only looking at, the 1 hour chart, but let's go ahead and show you where this head and shoulder, you guys can see it. You can see where the cup is. Actually, not that high up. Sorry. It's really, it comes down to this level right here, to be honest with you. Come on, cooperate with me today. So really, that's the level that it's going to come back down to and break down from. So you got your cup here. You got a couple cup and handles within the cup and handle formation in this. So let's go ahead and let me show you those. And unless you're looking for it, you're never going to find it. I would never find it unless I'm looking for it. All right. So a couple different points for a cup and handle formation, and I'm going to try to draw this out a little better than how I have it drawn out currently right now. So let's put the trend line. That's not what I want to do today. So a couple cup and handles within the cup and handles, if that makes sense. All right. So let's see, and I'll do my best to try to get to some of these comments after I explain Monero and the cup and handles within the cup and handles within the cup and handles. All right. So, and the reason why I put these lines out is because that's really where the high is, where the handle decides to form. So we got a cup here. Let me zoom in. We got the handle right here. We got the nice little uptick. And this is the point. The blue line is really the point where she needs to turn around from and not break above that point. If she breaks above that point, it's not really a true cup and handle in the sense of in this bottom portion here. So she did form a cup, little cup, formed a handle, had a nice uptick. She did it again, basically. Formed a cup, formed a handle, had an uptick. And she's doing it again, basically. Forming another cup, forming a handle, and this is kind of a longer handle than it should have been because it came down here, and it should have stopped here and had a nice little uptick. But if you look at this on a larger time frame, this will all kind of be together. So it kind of formed a bigger handle here before having, let me get rid of that up top, before having a nice sustained upward move right up here, going up. So, a couple cup and handles within the cup and handle formation on this. And if you're playing these, there's definitely money to be made, but you just don't know exactly, when it's forming a cup and handle within a cup and handle within a cup and handle, at what point do you sell? Because it's just forming cup and handles after cup and handles. But yeah, this is pretty nice. And like I said, if you're not looking for this, you're not going to find it at all. I would never find it because I wouldn't be looking for it unless I kind of get on my computer and say, you know what, this is what I'm looking for today in these patterns. And if I find this pattern, that's a perfect setup, and I'm going to hop on that trade. All right, was there no volume at all? Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me at all? All right, I'm gonna wait until somebody says they can hear me and they can hear me clear. Okay, you guys can hear me. Did you hear me talk about the cup and handle within the cup and handle within the cup and handle on Monero? Yeah, I had to scroll down in the chat to find that you guys can hear me. So let me know if you guys heard the cup and handle within the cup and handle within the cup and handle, and if not, I'll explain it again. That's not a problem at all. All right, perfect. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, if you're not looking for these type of formations, guys, I'm sorry about this charting. I'm having a hard day today. But yeah, if you're not looking for these cup and handle within a cup and handle, you're never going to see them at all. So let me delete this, and then we're going to kind of look at maybe a larger time frame where we can see a more defined cup and handle. But sometimes they don't work out. Sometimes they don't work out at all. So that's why I said, the probability of it happening are great, but it's not all the time that they will happen. Just in this situation here, here's a cup, and it broke out above that line, but it wasn't much of a break, not much of a break at all. There's a handle, but we didn't have a nice uptick. I mean, it basically hit that resistance of, what is this? $53.50. $52.50. So it hit that resistance and then kind of broke down. Reason why this isn't really a good symmetrical cup and handle, even though the cup is a very symmetrical. Let me get rid of this stuff here. So reason why it's not a very symmetrical cup and handle, and like I said, the cup part is very symmetrical, but the handle is not symmetrical. As we can see, it had a nice breakout. So it broke out above this point here, and it should have really stayed below it, or it should have stayed right at that level. But considering it broke out, and it wasn't much of a breakout, to be honest with you. So, I mean, if I even looked at this, I would have probably taken a position and said, you know what, this is a very good symmetrical cup and handle, even though it did break out a little bit. Let me see, the probability of me possibly playing this, and formed a nice handle. Yes, it did. But we didn't have that nice breakout above this previous high here. And that's normally what cup and handle should do when they form a very symmetrical cup and handle. They have the handle, and then they have a breakout where they break out completely above the previous high, and that previous high would have been 53.55, but it only got to 53.28 before breaking down again. But yeah, reason why that is because of, let me draw out another line here, is because it broke out above this $52.05 level. If it didn't break out above that level, if it would have stayed below it and came down, then we might have possibly seen a different outcome, with it really forming a nice uptick, breaking out above that $53.50, and really running. But yeah, this thing didn't run at all. What day was this that they brought this down? Oh, I remember this. Yeah, June 12th. I remember talking about it on one of the videos. I was like, I can't believe they brought this thing down to 16 bucks. I mean, this was a very quick drop. It was within a couple seconds. You know, it was almost like a flash crash, basically. You know, somebody got tons of cheap coins at that level. But let me see. Do we have any more cup and handle formations in this? And if you guys see it, let me know, because I might not be picking it out. There we go, right here. Let's draw a couple lines. So in actuality, it cannot break above this line to have a very true cup and handle formation. If it breaks out above this blue line, and I'm hoping you guys can see this blue line, but I'll go ahead and make it a little thicker. If it breaks out above this blue line, then it's not really a true cup and handle, but it didn't break out above that line. It actually touched that line, which would have been the, you know, the point where it started to really break down from. So that kind of became a resistance for it. Yes, there is a resistance right up here, but I also look at the points of where it completely broke down from. And considering it completely broke down from this level, oops, from this level right here, when it forms the actual cup, it cannot break above this level. It has to stay either below this level or it has to be at that level. And that's exactly what she did. She basically got right to that level. Now, if she would have broke out above it, yeah, you know, we might not have seen this uptick. But, you know, we have our cup right here. It touched that point of where it really started to break down, and it did form a handle. And then from there on, it had a nice uptick. So, I mean, these are great patterns to play if you can find, and then you're actually looking for them, for these cup and handle formations, as well as the inverted cup and handle, you know, for a nice uptick. If you're in a position, you definitely want to be looking for a head and shoulder fake. That's why it's called head and shoulder fake, because it'll fake you out. It will not break out above, you know, the prior high. It'll completely break down if it's a very good symmetrical head and shoulder. And let's see if we can find any symmetrical head and shoulder. Here we go. Like I said, I mean, you know, we're not always going to be looking at these. You got the head, you got the shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, complete breakdown. And then you got basically the neck. You know, the neck would be basically somewhere up here in this line. But yeah, complete breakdown, you know, on a somewhat symmetrical head and shoulder. And they're called head and shoulder fake because they tend to break down and completely break down. So let's see if we can find any other head and shoulders that completely break down. Now, it's not always, it's not 100%. And I've always said this before, you know, and on any of these patterns and on any of these formations, it's not 100%. But the probability is there, you know, for it to do what it's supposed to do. Let's see, do we have any possibly inverted head and shoulder or even head and shoulder? All right, let me erase this because we do see, let me move all drawing. All right, so we do see somewhat an inverted head and shoulder here. And usually on an inverted head and shoulder, and that's usually the magic word, usually, you know, they have a nice uptick. There's a left shoulder, there's a head, there's a right shoulder, and of course, a nice little uptick. Now, it's not all the time, but if you look at these patterns, if you continuously go on any of these, you know, cryptocurrencies and really analyze the chart and just go in and pick out these inverted head and shoulders, you're going to see a nice uptick. You will. Let's see if we find any more. All right, here we go again. You got shoulder, shoulder, you got the head on an inverted head and shoulder, and then you got the uptick. And at the same time, too, it's forming a cup and it's forming a handle. So the probability of this going up are greater because you've just spotted out two of the possible trends that would cause an uptick. And that's a inverted head and shoulder as well as a cup and handle. But like I said, if you're not looking for this, you're never going to see it. But if you really just sit there for, you know, hours and hours and just say, you know what, these are the patterns that I'm looking for, you're going to be able to spot out these patterns. So we got two patterns on the probability of it having a nice uptick, and it basically proved that theory right. Let me get to some of the comments. Brett, good question, but I'm gonna get to that question. I want to scroll up a little bit and see if I missed any other good questions. All right. You guys can hear me loud and clear. Good. We covered that earlier. Yes, we do hear the cup and handle, blah, 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 blah. Logan, welcome, buddy. You will not be selling your BTC. I didn't think so, man. Who knows what chain will win out over the next few years. Yeah, and I know you have yours on a hardware wallet. You don't have it on an exchange. So I think, to my understanding, you will get BCC. That's to my understanding, unless you have it on an exchange that doesn't support the chain split. But why not take it if they're giving it to you? And then sell the one that doesn't, that's a basically, the fake Bitcoin, and keep the real Bitcoin. Cupsation. Yeah, dude. You're going to see these cup and handle formations a lot. And if you just kind of keep an eye for them, you'll definitely pick them out. But, I want to get to the comments, but then I do want to cover, the title of this live stream. There's two types of traders. There's good losers and bad losers. And which one are you? Somebody's probably reading this and being like, well, a loser's a loser. Why does it matter? If you lose, you lose. There's no winner. No, there is. There really is. And I'll explain to you, how to be a good loser and how to be a bad loser. Yeah, those are huge things that you really gotta know and understand if you're trading and if you're day trading, not long-term investment. Long-term investors, I wouldn't even worry about any of this stuff, to be honest with you. Just because you see an inverted cup and handle, or actually an inverted head and shoulder, doesn't mean you should sell if you're a long-term investor. You'll buy a few BCC when it hits $5. Jim, welcome, by the way. And any new time viewers that are on this, don't forget to click on that subscribe button as well as the post notification. And thanks for commenting, man. I appreciate it. Okay, so Sarah says, don't we need to wait for the breakout after the handle before taking the position? Yes, you can. But then you're not getting a bigger slice of the pie, if that makes sense. If I wait, let's just say on, let me get rid of this. Let's just say on this cup and handle formation here, it forms a cup. I see it forming the handle. It has a confirmed breakout, and I decide to buy at the 37.98 level. I just left some money on the table. I mean, I could have bought it at $34. I could have bought it at $35. When this handle was forming, you really don't know how far this handle is going to go down. So that's why you wouldn't want to go all in. You would want to get a little bit of skin in the game and take a little bit of a position to see if that is the point where the handle is going to bottom out and then have a nice uptick. The handle could still continue to break down. That's a fact. It could. We don't know how far it's going to go. That's why you keep a little bit more capital on the side, that in case that the handle does break down, closer to halfway from the actual cup, then you can add a little bit more. But yes, you can wait until it actually breaks out above this resistance here, because it's really where it started to break down and form the actual cup. That is a resistance. Let me put a line there so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. That really is the resistance there. So if I wait for a confirmed breakout above it, which I can, I'm leaving a good amount of money on the table here by not taking advantage of a smaller position. So the best way to play in this is basically, you want to add something when the handle's forming. When it tends to break out and you get a confirmed breakout above the resistance, and that's basically what this is. This is the resistance, because sometimes they do hit that resistance and break down. So then when you look at it, when you're looking at a larger time frame, the handle's still forming on a larger time frame than it would be on a smaller time frame. But then yes, you can add on after you get a confirmed breakout. And this second candlestick, after the first candlestick broke out above the resistance, the second candlestick would have been an indicator to you. And you could possibly get in at $39, maybe $40, but you could have got in at $34, $35. So yes, you can play them either way. There's really no right way or wrong way of playing this. As long as you get some sort of position at that handle formation, because then you're going to capture a larger slice of that pie. And that's really what trading is about. How much of this pie can I actually capture? Am I getting a slice of the pie, or am I getting 2 or 3 slices of that pie? And the name of the game is, to get as much slice of that pie as possible. But no, that's a very good question. Very good question. you definitely want to add something at this handle. And then if you get a confirmed breakout, then you can add more. And then you would be kind of like a momentum chaser. Momentum chasers will be stepping in and causing this thing to kind of go parabolic and have a nice move to the upside. And for some of you guys that don't know what momentum chasers are, it's really, like there's tons of styles of trading. Remember that, there's just not one style that works for somebody. Just because somebody trades a different way, that doesn't mean, it doesn't work out for them based on the way that you're trading. So there's somebody that would just trade momentum trading, things that are, and I'm not talking about pump and dumps. I'm talking about actually, good coins with good value, with good a future outlook, that when it breaks key level points, they know they have a confirmed breakout, and then that's when they get in. And those are momentum chasers because their momentum is up to the upside, and then they will actually add more fuel to that upside fire, and that's what would happen. So the more that momentum traders come in and see this start to go up, the more that it's going to end up going up. And I know some traders that are momentum traders, and that's all they really look for is for something to start breaking key levels, and then they'll start supporting it. They'll start buying in increments as it's going up. But yeah, very good question, Sarah. Is anybody doing a cup and handle word count? I don't know, dude. Maybe do it and let me know how many times I said it. Especially when I was talking about the cup and handle within a cup and handle within a cup and handle formation. That's actually the first time I've actually looked at that and was able to spot out the 3 cup and handle formations. But I can add more to that count if you want to. Anybody buy the DGB dip? Who asked me about that? Digibyte. Somebody asked me about that on the last live stream, and I basically said Digibyte. Everybody's losing their Digibyte. But I'll take a look at it today because yeah, it was downtrending heavily, and I haven't looked at it to see if it had a nice pop up to the upside. As long as it hits key support levels and the probability of those support levels being strong are there, then yeah, it's going to have an upside tick. All right, I got to remember where I kind of left off with these comments. Andrew, I really can't give you an advice, man. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, so I really can't advise you on your trades and what you should be trading. That's really a decision that you got to make. So I can't tell you to get rid of your altcoins, especially if you're in a very good position. Logan, you just recently claimed your ETC from the fork. Dude, that's sweet. You should have claimed it when it was like close to 23 bucks though, and then dumped it at 23. Chris, yeah, you have a good point there. You can't explain to someone about losing. It's an emotional response. I mean, yeah, we're all human beings. We all make those emotional mistakes. Trying to explain is just talking at them. I mean, that's all I can really do. Really, I mean, I can't hold their hands and say, this is what you have to do. I can just kind of, talk about my experiences and what I've seen in the market. But yeah, I mean, depending on, how they want to absorb that information is completely up to them. Some people will really understand it and retain it, and with some people it might be in one ear out the other. But at least as a courtesy to you guys, that I feel like that's something I should talk about, because there are good losers, there are bad losers, especially in trading. And I'm going to cover that next after I get to a couple of these messages. AJ, let's see. It's all about risk management. Yes, 100%, man. When you get into a trade, you got to manage that risk. You can't wish and hope. That's not a strategy. But yeah, you really, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I wait for a good entry. I do. I'm patient with my trades. But there are some people that are not patient with their trades. They want to take a position right there and then. And you can take a position at any point, but you better be ready to manage that risk. And you better be ready to, cut your loss if you have to cut your loss based on, what the charts and what other variables are possibly telling you. But yeah, the name of the game is to always stay in the game, to not let the game take you out. And it's the bad losers that get taken out of the game. the good losers stay in the game. You know, honestly, the good losers will stay in the game and they'll continue this game. And then later on, the tides will turn, you know, where they will start making money. But yeah, the bad losers, you know, mainly the bad losers are the newbies, the new ones that are coming on to trading and wishing and hoping. You know, they're the ones that are giving me their money and giving seasoned, you know, experienced traders their money. But, you know, the newbies that can actually survive the game and stay within the game because they happen to be good losers are the ones later on that are going to be seasoned traders, seasoned investors, and the newbies coming into the market are the ones that are going to be giving them their money, if that makes sense. Jim, yeah, great comment. Some say it's better not to buy when you think it's the bottom, but to wait until it actually shows you the move. So yeah, it would need to have a true indication of a move. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that anybody can take that, to be honest with you. But you need to have a little bit of skin in the game because nobody can predict the bottom. You need to have skin in the game. And you know, if you can't possibly pick out where the bottom might be, and that's always a magic question, where might it be? Nobody can pick the bottom, but based on, you know, trends that you're seeing, based on the history of the chart, based on, you know, what you've seen in the past, what it's done from what levels that it'd like to bounce from, and the more times that it's bouncing from a very specific key level, you know, the probabilities of that being a good support is there. You know, if it only bounced from it once, the probability is not there. But if it bounced from it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times, I know that is a very strong support, and I'm going to take a position at that support and not wait for a more of a confirmed breakout. So there, like I said, I mean, there's different variables that you got to look at. If you're not experienced in kind of looking at, you know, where the key resistance might be based on the history of that chart, then yes, you know, you might end up waiting for a confirmation of a breakout in order to take a position, but then that breakout might not last too long where it might dip right back down. So then in that sense, you're not capturing a bigger slice of the pie. All right, I think I got to all the comments, or at least the ones that were kind of geared towards me. But let's talk about good losers and bad losers. So new people coming onto the market, you know, wanting to trade and they have money. Mainly they're the ones that are a bad loser. And, you know, I don't mean to insult anybody if you are a new trader coming onto this, but this is something you really should think about. So a bad loser is going to get into a trade, or really, I mean, you can get into a trade at any point, and it goes against you. It starts to dip. An experienced trader is going to know exactly at what price point should they cut their loss based on what the chart has been telling them in the past. Because usually, I mean, if you can figure out what it's done in the past, you can kind of figure out what it's going to do in the future. It's given. I've seen that before, especially, you know, analyzing charts over and over and over again, and then analyzing them again after a couple of days to see exactly, you know, if what it did in the past is what it's going to do in the future in the sense of the support and resistance. So a new trader coming onto the market gets in because possibly FOMO hitting, and, you know, or something running up, and, you know, they don't want to miss out. They get in at a very specific price, and it starts to dip on them and dip on them, and they're not experienced enough to kind of pick out, you know, where the first area of support is, second area of support, third area of support, fourth area of support, and so on and so on and so on. So it's tanking. It's dropping against them. It's dropping below key support levels, but they're not able to pick that out because they haven't looked at the history. They don't know where the supports and resistance are. So they're the bad losers because they don't know when to cut their loss because it's breaking down key resistance levels, or I'm sorry, key support levels. It's breaking down below them where, you know, the probability of it bouncing up based on other variables in the order book would kind of dictate, okay, you know what, it's more likely going to turn around at this price point here. So more likely a newbie trader will end up selling where the major support is, where it turns right back around. You know, they didn't cut their loss when they were down 5, 10%, whatever plan of action that they would put in place for themselves, you know, before getting into a trade and saying, okay, I'm going to get in here. If it goes up to this level, I'm going to get out with a nice profit. If it dips down to this level here, I'm going to get out with a smaller profit, or I'm sorry, a smaller loss, but wait for a major dip. Wait for it to actually hit that major resistance, or I'm sorry, wait for it to hit the major support in order for me to buy back in. You know, so the person that cuts their loss real quick at 10% because they see a more of a downtrend because the order book is stacked up with sellers, he knows to cut his loss and then kind of wait to buy back in lower. So he's a good loser. Even though he only lost a certain percentage, 5%, 10%, 7%, whatever it is that he would have, had an action for, a plan of action for, saying, if I lose this much, I'm going to cut my loss. If it goes up this much, I'm happy with the profit. It's 10%, it's 15%. I'm going to take a little bit of a profit. I'm going to lock in some of the profit there. So the person that's basically, cutting their losses based on other variables that they're seeing, even though they lost on that trade, they're a good loser. The bad loser is the one that just allows it to keep dropping and dropping and dropping. And instead of them being down 10% and cutting their loss, now they're down 30%, 40%, and they can't let it go. The further it drops, the more money that they're losing, the less likely that they are to cut it loose, because now they're like, oh, now I'm down 40%. I need to make that money back up. And yes, so they hold on, and they might get tired. They might get they might panic and just say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of it because now I'm down 40% when I should have cut it when I was down, 5%. So they cut it at 40% loss. And what do you know? That happens to be the bottom, and it ends up making a nice run back up. Now, there are other bad losers as well, too, that will still hold on to it and hold on to it and hold on to it. And then it starts to come back around and the trade starts to go with them. And, they're cutting their losses because the price is going up. Not cutting the losses in the sense of selling, but they've minimized their loss so far because the price is going up. And as the price is going up, they're not looking at where is the major resistance. What are the first area of resistance, second area of resistance, third area of resistance. So then what they're doing is they're wishing and hoping that it gets back up to their price where they bought it or above it so they actually make a profit. But more likely it might get to the first area of support, or I'm sorry, the first area of resistance, the second area of resistance, and then at the second area of resistance, where they actually will probably down 15%, from their original 40% loss. They don't cut their loss at a 15%. They hold on to it, wishing and hoping, and then it dips back down again on them where they're down 35%. So that's what I mean by a good loser and a bad loser. Good loser is who's going to cut their loss right away based on other variables, especially if you're playing these crap coins. Now if you're playing more of these solid cryptocurrencies, you could probably afford to hold it because, the trend is going to change and it's going to get right back up. But some of these crap coins, there's no sense of holding them because they're going to drop, keep dropping, and then they're just going to bottom out, and then they're just going to flatline basically. So the good loser is going to cut his loss early, wait for a dip, and then buy back in. The bad loser is just going to keep holding it. And I'm sitting there waiting to buy at a bare bottom price. So more likely the new trader is going to be selling me their coins at a very cheap price. And then as it starts to go up, I'm going to start locking in profits, and FOMO might kick in with them again. And they're going to be like, well, I need to buy back in because I just took a loss, and then I'm selling on my coins. So they're selling me their coins at the bottom price, and then I'm selling on my coins that they sold me as it's going up. And that's just a cycle. That is a cycle with new traders. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Let me see if I can get to some of the comments, see if you guys have any questions about the good loser or bad loser. But yeah, I've been a bad loser. I'll admit it. When I first started trading, I was a bad loser. I held on to things. Let's see, AJ, very good question. Do you find horizontal or particular price levels act as a better support than a trend support line? They both work very well. They really do. And if you can use a combination of both of them, then yeah, I mean, that's the best thing to do. And let's see with IOTA. Was it IOTA? No, it was not IOTA. What was it? OMG. Let's see if my trend lines are still there. But yeah, you definitely want to have your trend lines. You want to have your support lines because they do go hand in hand. So I didn't draw out any support lines on this. I just drew out the trend lines and it maintained those trend lines. But yeah, I mean, we could easily draw out. I need to get out of the 3-hour chart, of course. We can easily draw out our support and resistance. So, I mean, major support is basically, where I kind of have my $1 entry, or 1.0001 really. But another area of support is going to be right around the 110, 111 range because it has bounced up from that level. So 110. I won't put a line at the $1 level, considering that's where my entry is. There's already a line there. But then the other area is going to be, the 130, the 140-ish. So where's that 130? 130, 140, possibly the 152, 150-ish. These aren't going to be 100% accurate to that exact price point, but it kind of gives us an idea. And then, of course, the 263, whatever it is. So really, I mean, those are our resistance. Down here is our support. But yeah, so I mean, you can look at both of them, and it's always good to have your trend lines as well as your support lines. And then the other variables, you're looking at the order book to determine, okay, what, I drew out a support line here because it seemed to have bounced from that level numerous times. Let me go ahead and take a look at the order book and see exactly how are they stacked up at that specific price level. And then that would kind of confirm your theory of you plotting out your support and resistance, if that is somewhat of an accurate support and resistance. Now, don't take that for granted. Just because buyers are stacked up at a specific level, those orders could fall off, to be honest with you. I mean, it could be a fake wall. So there's a lot of other variables it's a gamble. It's a risk that you're taking. And, once you get in that, because of the variables out there, you got to manage that risk. And you got to have a plan to say, what, if this dips, if I lose $200 on this, I'm cutting my loss. If I make $300, I'm going to take my profit. So your risk reward ratio, your risk should be low versus your reward. Your reward ratio should be higher than your risk. If you sell, you definitely lose out. So yes and no. It all depends where you're cutting your loss. If you're cutting your loss at the bottom where the major support is, then yeah, you lost out, because you're selling at the bottom. But if it starts to break, key levels of resistance, or I'm sorry, key levels of support. And when I say key levels, I mean like very strong support, not somewhat of a strong support where it only bounced from that level once. But if you know that it's bouncing from a specific level numerous times, and that's a very strong support, and you end up selling at that level, and it goes right back up, then yeah, you lost. You lost. And you really, I mean, until you sell, it's all unrealized loss until you sell it. Once you sell it, then that's when you kind of realize the loss, because you've taken the hit. But until you sell, yes, it's all unrealized loss. You haven't really lost the capital yet until you actually sell it. But yeah, I mean, with some of these popular coins, with some of the strong cryptocurrencies, yes, you can afford to hold it long term, and eventually it will make it back up. But with the crap coins, with the shit coins that are out there, it's not worth it at all. You cut your loss, if you have a very little minimal loss. Let's see. A good loser is someone who doesn't bitch about crypto when they lose. A bad loser is someone who bashes crypto just because they lost some money. And yeah, Andrew, that'll happen all the time, man. Especially with the newbies. When they lose, yeah, they bash crypto. And that's really what's happening right now. I mean, with all these pump and dumps that are happening, I mean, they're being taken advantage of. They are losing money, and they are the ones that are bashing crypto and giving crypto a bad name, kind of curving, mass adoption. But yeah, the ones that are making money, I mean, they're loving, they're talking to their friends and family about cryptocurrencies. Hopefully they're not telling them to buy a specific crypto, but at least to kind of look at the market and maybe kind of get involved in the market, but not giving trading advice. But yeah, those people will be an advocate for cryptocurrency. But yeah, that comment had me laughing, bud. Thank you, man. Yeah, Ether, BTC, Ethereum Classic, Dash, Monero. I mean, those are, very strong cryptocurrencies, where if it does dip, it's not the end of the world. It'll make it back up. But with some of these other cryptocurrencies, yeah, I mean, especially if you're just looking to kind of not hold long term, and these comments that I make, it's not for long term investors. I mean, you guys know that I've been saying that. These are for short term investors. So for long term investor, it really doesn't matter at all. But for short term investor, you definitely want to lock in those profits or minimize that loss. Jim, yeah, there's a lot of people that think like that. Logan, I would have to say he has the same thought process. He doesn't care about the price. He cares about how many he has. And that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, I look at the USD value, to be honest with you. I like to take the profits, and then I like to use the capital and the profits when it dips to buy more. Let's see, Andrew, you think your biggest issue you have is too many different coins and can only really focus on the top coin. So basically, I have a bunch of coins. You don't know what price to sell at, just holding and hoping you guess. Oh, man, that's not a good strategy, Andrew. Not a good strategy at all. When I hear anybody talking about kind of hoping and wishing that it goes up, yeah, you don't have a plan of action. You need that plan of action. You need to know where you're going. You can't just buy something and not know where you're going. So I never hope and wish of something going up to a level that I want it to go up, because more than likely it might not get up to that level. But I've always said it in the past, you want to focus. There's about, I'm sure there's more now. Let me look and see how many coins there are. 831 coins out there. You can't focus on all of them. You can't. You're only one person. All you could really do, excuse me. All you can really do is just kind of focus in on, 10 of your favorite altcoins, or 10 of your favorite cryptocurrencies, or 5 of your favorite cryptocurrencies. And those are the ones you're analyzing day in, day out, continuously looking at them, looking at the pattern. With some of these cryptocurrencies that I look at all the time, I know the pattern. I can close my eyes and see the pattern, and see exactly what it's done, from the time that I started analyzing it till today. So you definitely want to focus in on a handful of cryptocurrencies that you believe in, that have a great development team, that have the backing of the community, that has a great, forward-looking statement, or just a forward outlook for the future, and really stick to those coins, because a lot of them are pump and dumps. Yeah, it's hard to manage some of these cryptocurrencies when, there's 830 of them. So, the goal of CTR, Crypto Traders Room, is to have a collective of like-minded traders that are, maybe 20, 30, or 40, that are really going to dissect the market and be able to share that information, share that knowledge that they have on, either somebody's going to be, taking a look at different types of news that's out on the cryptocurrency. So if something's going up so high, you want to look and see, you want to dig in and see if there's any news that's possibly causing this thing to go up. If there isn't any news, it's a pump and dump, so having people, maybe 5 people to kind of, scatter the web for news, and having, 3 or 4 people, looking for certain patterns, looking for that head and shoulder fake, looking for the inverted head and shoulder, looking for a cup and handle. When you have a collective team of 20 to 30 people, and that's what we're trying to build with Crypto Traders Room, and sharing that information, we're able to dominate this market. But one person can't do it, to be honest with you. One person can only look at a handful of cryptocurrencies and be able to kind of, maybe look at a chart or two. Hold on one second, guys. But yeah, so, if you're just, one person that's trying to dissect the market, pick 2 cryptocurrencies to begin with and start dissecting them, immerse yourself in them, put yourself in the chart, eat the chart, live the chart, breathe the chart. And once you've, heavily analyzed, 1 or 2 charts, and then kind of start working your way up and adding another cryptocurrency on there, just make sure that it's a popular cryptocurrency. It's something that's going to be pumped and dumped and that's going to be flatlined for so long. You want something that has good movement, whether for long-term investment or short-term investment as a trader, whatever it might be. Let's see other comments I'll take a look at. And then I'll take a look at DigiByte. I'll take a look at Status, maybe a couple other ones you guys might throw at me. AJ, good question. I kind of look at the wicks to see exactly, the price action between bears and bulls, the battle that formed. Basically, we can kind of look at a candlestick with a wick on the bottom, a red candlestick, and say, man, the bulls really took it out, but the bears pulled it right back down. So, I don't like to see longer wicks. That just kind of shows that there's a lot of indecision, a lot of fighting between the bears and the bulls. And, when you have a longer wick, it's a more of a fight that they had versus a full body. And when there's a full body candlestick on a green, it's like, the bears won that battle. They're in control of this price action currently right now until the charts kind of signal that, okay, you know what? Bears are making a comeback. The bears are starting to take control. Once the bears take control, as a long-term trader for that day, whatever it might be, I'll be looking to take my profit or possibly cut my loss because the trend is going to go against me, considering the bears are in control or the bulls are in control, depending if I'm short or long on that trade. So I don't really pay attention to the actual wick. I do to an extent, but the full body, the opening price, the closing price is really kind of what I look at. Andrew, yeah, I mean, a lot of people do the same exact thing. They just see a coin and kind of jump into it. So you're not the only one. But, you definitely want to research those coins that you have and make sure that they're a solid coin for you to hold long term. And if they're not, then, if you're in a profit, you might want to lock in the profit. If you're at a big loss, it's tough. It's tough to say what you should do. I mean, what I would do personally, if I was in a cryptocurrency that was somewhat solid and I was down a lot and I had funds available, I would buy a little bit more. I would want to lower that cost average. I wouldn't want to keep that cost average. Let's just say at, I buy something at $4, because somebody told me it was going to go to $6. Somebody told me it was going to go to $8 and I bought it at $4 and I bought, let's just say 100, and it starts to dip and gets down to 2. I'm not just going to leave it and kind of forget about it and hope it makes it back up to $4. I'm going to buy another 100 at $2 and lower my cost average to 3. Because then more than likely, if it does have a nice uptrend, it's going to have a nice uptrend to maybe 250, possibly $3. At $3, I'm breaking even. I can either sell everything or sell majority of it and kind of minimize that loss, but still have a little bit in case it does break out above $3. And if it does break out above $3, then I'm in the profit. But yeah, I mean, if you're down big, and if you have a little bit of capital, you might want to add to that position just to lower that cost average, because more likely, it's not going to get back up to my $4 price point where I purchased it, because it dropped to 2. But there's a possibility that, it might make it up to 250, $3. At $3, I'm breaking even. Anything above 3, I'm in the green. Yeah, I like trading the top coins, guys. I mean, I've said it before. I stay away from Poloniex. I stay away from Bittrex. I forget who it was that informed me of a pump and dump that was happening, on Bittrex at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, and I notified our group, and I looked at Bittrex. It was like at 10:30, and there were things that were being pumped, like 1,000%, 800%, and then somebody in our Slack, I think it might have been Mel said, "Oh, it's not supposed to start till 11." I'm like, dude, they already started this. I'm like, they're not notifying their group until 11, but they already started this thing. But yeah, that's why I don't trade on Bittrex or Poloniex. And if I was to trade on Bittrex or Poloniex, I would trade, of course, the popular coins. I wouldn't trade some of these possible pump and dumps. Oregon homegrown, welcome, buddy. Yeah, dude, I thought about it a while back, and I was like, why don't I not have the chat on the live stream? It's just easier for me to kind of look at it because I'm looking at the chart. It's there. I'm looking at the comments are there instead of having to look at a different screen, because I have 4 monitors and a laptop, so it's a lot of screens that I have to look at, that I have a lot of data on. So it's a lot better, yeah, for me to keep it on the actual live stream. And I've actually gone back and watched some of these videos, and I'll see some of the comments, and I'm like, oh man, how did I miss that comment? That was a very good question. And I felt bad that I missed a very good question. So it kind of helps me, later on, maybe give me a little bit of a talking point if somebody asks a very good question. But yeah, thank you everybody that's joining. I do appreciate it on this Friday. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you guys could be spending your time with, but spending your time with me is awesome. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And if you're new to this live stream and you find this information helpful, pound that like button, as well as click on that subscribe button, as well as the post notification, and stay connected with us on Steemit, Twitter, as well as Facebook. And thank you to anybody that's watching this from Steemit, Twitter, or even Facebook. Oh, time. Yeah, you got to have that time, Jim. And you're right. You're right. In the sense that, if you hold out long enough, if that's usually the magic word, if. Got to remember, we're human beings. We're not computers. We're not programmed to unless you're just going to set it and forget it and not even look at it and set a very high sell price. But more than likely, when you're in a position, you're going to be looking at it. You're going to be obsessed with it. Emotions are going to kick in, and you're going to finally be tired of it because it's been flatlined for, I don't know, a year, 2 years. And then you're going to finally decide to sell because there's a cryptocurrency that you're interested in buying. And then when you sell it is when it decides to go up. It's happened to me many times. I'll be honest with you guys. I'll buy something and it'll go down. And I'm like, oh, man. And I mean, this is when I first started trading. I wouldn't cut my loss and I end up cutting my loss at a bigger loss than I should have. Or I'll buy something. Or I'll sell something and it'll go up. And it's like, man, is this a conspiracy? Like, I buy something, it goes down. I sell something, it keeps going up. But yeah, it's going to happen to every trader. It's going to happen to you. So don't think that it's only happening to you, because it happens to everybody. When they buy it, it goes down. When they sell it, it goes up. Greetings from Germany. Greetings, buddy. Thank you for joining, man. I appreciate it. First time I'm seeing your name. There's a lot of new people that are on here. So thank you so much. I got to give you guys a little bit of shout out. Andrew, Jim, Robo Daba. Let's see who else we got. Oregon Homegrown, my boy Logan, Drum, Extreme F1. And shout out where your country is too, guys. I mean, this is a very diverse community that we have on YouTube. YouTube is global. I like to think that CTR, Crypto Traders Room, is also somewhat global because we have people from all over the world. So, let the community know. I mean, the chat is up. They're able to see this. Anybody that's watching this after the live stream ends and it's uploaded into YouTube, shout out your country so that they know how global CTR is and where everybody, is from. First live chat. Oh, dude, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate it. You're from India. Shout outs to India. Of course, shout outs to UK. Shout outs to Maine. New Hampshire, Dylan. Texas for ECS. Oni, where were you from? I don't remember, buddy. You probably told me. I kind of forget. Ray, you from Philly? What part of Philly are you from, Ray? Or Ree? Breck, living in Estonia, South Africa. Welcome, Sarah. I'm from Northeast Africa. That's not where I'm live streaming from, but that's where I was born and raised. Cincinnati, but in Myrtle Beach at the moment. Dude, that's awesome. Have fun at the beach. I'm assuming you're an Ohio State Buckeyes fan. Philippines. Okay, gotcha. Because when you said Philly, I'm thinking of Philadelphia, a city that I grew up in. But yeah, we got people from the Philippines. We got people from the States, South Africa, Estonia, India. I mean, UK. CTR is global. We are global. But let's take a look and see. I will cover. Somebody asked me to cover status, so let's go ahead and take a look at status. But yeah, shout out your country, and I will. I'll announce it on the live air. One Bittrex. Australia, Tatiana. Hey, thank you. Yesterday, you mentioned the Head and Shoulders, so I think it was a Head and Shoulder that you mentioned yesterday. So thank you for that. Mel's from Australia as well too, but he's not on here because I know it's late for you guys. So thank you for joining. I mean, it's what, maybe 3 a.m. I'm gonna say for you. Gotcha, OJ. Not a problem. Let's see, Jim. I think what I'm trying to say is the old hands are trading on profit money. They pass the point where even the servers drop. The servers drops it. Don't touch the original investment. No, you're right. So a lot of traders that are in profit, I mean, they're not trading their capital. You know, they took their capital out. They're trading house money now. You know, any profit that they make is house money. Just like, you know, you go to a casino, you went on a roulette table, you take your, you know, your capital you started out with, put it in your pocket, don't touch it. Then you're just playing with the capital. I'm sorry, with the profits. So it's house money that you're playing with. And a lot of traders will do that. And that's a very smart strategy. It is. You know, somebody starts out with $5,000 and they turn that 5 into 10. Why keep 10 in there? Take out the 5, put it in the bank account, use it for something else. And then you're only playing with house money so that if you lose everything, you're just at a break-even point, whereas though you never started. It sucks to lose it, but you're not really losing it because you're only losing the profits that you made. You're not losing the principal. Yeah, you're right. Even if it drops, I mean, they're not risking any of their capital whatsoever. And that's a smart strategy. It really is. I forget who asked me to take a look at status, but let's see. And then DGB. Oof, down 12%. That's not good. Yeah, nothing pretty about this at all. You know, I mean, here would have been a support. But yeah, it broke through that support. I wish I could enlarge this. Status network is not a good trade. Not at this time, it's not a good trade. You know, maybe when it flatlines down to like a, you know, anywhere between 1,200 to 1,000, that might be a good trade, good entry. But yeah, at the current moment, whoever asked me to take a look at this last week, oh, not last week, last live stream on Wednesday. Yeah, and I didn't look at it that day either, but that would have been 27th. No, that would have been the 26th. So yeah, so I mean, even since then, it's definitely has been downtrending. And this is just a nice curl to the downside. You know, you see these curls happening, you know, get out of that trade. Or don't even get into that trade, to be honest with you, until you actually see it completely flip to where it's curving to the upside. Is it curving to the upside now? No, it has a nice little bump. But you want to see, let's see if we can find a nice curve to the upside. I don't think we'll be able to find it on status. Nope, we'll not find it on status. But if I do see a nice curve to the upside, you know, that's an opportunity to kind of look at it and do a little more thorough research and do your due diligence to see if that's a good entry for you. But, you know, seeing this and seeing how it's curving to the downside, you know, it's possibly going to keep dropping. This is just possibly a nice little cat fake, you know, dead cat bounce. I don't think it'll be a sustained dead cat bounce, but you know, it'll test new lows again. And when I mean new lows, I mean new lows from where it touched here from the all-time high when it decided to come back down. And that low was really 2000. Actually, I'm sorry, it has already touched new lows. What is the next low that is possibly going to touch? Right around the 1600, possibly 1650-ish. And that would be because of the consolidation that happened right here, as well as the high that it hit here. So that's really the point that I would be kind of paying attention to see if it sustains that level and kind of starts to curve up to the upside where buyers will support it, or is it just going to continuously start breaking down? And if it continuously start breaking down from that 1,500, 1,600, then, you know, 1,000 is in sight. 1,000 could easily be in sight for this thing. So not a trade, nothing that would pique my interest, nothing that I would be interested in. DGB. DGB, what is DGB doing? And I'm hoping I'm not, okay, good. I'm not on mute. Oregon homegrown, odd red day today with BTC up. It's not really odd. I mean, if we really think about it in the past, ECS is not on here, but I mean, the trend was BTC goes up, alts go down. BTC goes down, alts go up. That was the trend that we were seeing. And it completely flip-flopped after that, where, you know, BTC, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, I mean, they were all going up at the same time. And I was like, what is going on? The trend has completely changed. You know, we're not seeing the flippening, you know, money being flipped over from Bitcoin to alts and then vice versa from alts to Bitcoin. Now it's following that trend that we've seen in the past. What I've seen, you know, when I first started really analyzing this cryptocurrency is that Bitcoin goes up, alts are dropping. And we'll see if it flip-flops again, where BTC goes down and alts go up. It's a possibility it could be going back to the same trend. All right, DGB. A lot of money lost. A lot of people lost money on DGB. Hopefully, nobody on this live stream. But yeah, a nice little bounce from finding that bottom. Bottom of being 510, 509. It looks like. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a sustained nice uptick. It could just be a nice little cat bounce where it's going to start breaking down heavily. Let's see what the volume is like. On the buying side, 726 million DGB coins on the buy side versus 220 million on the sell side. So buyers are outweighing the sellers, but could that be a fake wall? Huge possibility. Huge possibility. But yeah, this thing completely has broken down. Nothing special, nothing interesting about this for me to say, man, this is looking very promising. You know, we see it consolidating. We see it possibly curving up. There's a possibility when it sustains that type of movement for a good amount of time that we do get a nice pop to the upside. But yeah, the type of curve, you know, you guys want to always look for on the after a downtrend really is really this type of formation. You know, where it has come down and then you kind of see it starting to level out, you know, and once it levels out, then you start to see it starting making a nice upward momentum, nice upward move. That's really the time to kind of, you know, maybe it should be piquing your interest because it's found the bottom, it's starting to curve up, and that's exactly what it did. After it curves up, it had a nice run up. But yeah, you don't want to be buying something as it's breaking down, continuously breaking down. You want to wait for an indicator or for the level to kind of say, you know what, this chart looks like it's ready to, you know, to start making an upward swing. But, you know, this is a nice dead cat bounce, but it's a sustained dead cat bounce with a good amount of profit to be made from, you know, 600 or 700 Satoshis. Is that exactly right? Let's see. From about 630 Satoshis to 735 Satoshis. So 100 Satoshis there. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing that you should hold on and say, oh, you know what, this is going to get right back up to 800 Satoshis. No, it does not at all. I mean, it's showing you that, you know what, I'm probably going to be cutting this, taking profit right where it started breaking down. And it started breaking down right at this level here. And that's exactly what it went up to. It went right up to that level and then broke down. That just happens to be the resistance. It found that resistance and it broke down from that resistance. But yeah, I'm not interested in DGB at all. Maybe if it gets down to like 100 Satoshis, maybe. Let's see where this thing has really been in the past on the one-day candlestick. Huge pump after it's been flatlined. So, you know, this is what I talked about the other day about a lot of the cryptocurrencies. You know, first day they have a crazy pump. But on Bittrex, you know, we have not seen that crazy pump on, especially on a one-day candlestick on EOS, OMG, and I think it was SAN. It might have been SAN and IOTA actually, where it just had a sustained nice uptick. There was not a crazy pump, crazy dump on the first day of it being listed on an exchange. But let's see, where they pump this back up to? Not back up to its all-time high. But I mean, even if we look at, let's see how I can, no, that's not going to work for me. But yeah, I mean, you can, if you're looking at the one-day chart, I mean, you can see where it likes to flatline, and it's a sustained flatline for X amount of time. You know, this would be a long-term buy and hold where you buy it where it's flatline, and hopefully you're able to catch this pump when a pump happens and you're in front of your computer, or you have a different incremental sale price in so that it executes on the way up. But yeah, I mean, you can tell where it likes to find the bottom, and it likes to find the bottom, you know, especially if we're looking at the chart from 2014 to possibly 2015, the 20 cent range, I'm sorry, cents, the 20 Satoshi range, and it likes to come right back down to those levels. I mean, we're seeing that over and over again. It likes to get pumped up. It likes to settle right back down to those levels. And it settled at those levels numerous times until it got a huge pump. And I don't know if that was a coordinated several chat rooms or several, pump and dump groups that were in cahoots and completely pumped it up. But yeah, the breakdown is nothing pretty about it at all. And as we can see, we do see a little bit. And it's not really a symmetrical uptrend. We're not seeing that where it starts to continuously start a nice curve up to the upside, where eventually it'll have a nice breakout. I don't see that at all with this. It's not really a nice curve. The trend, the trend in Satoshis that it's playing is pretty high. It hasn't really thinned out, and that's kind of what you want to look for. Where the price difference. The range that it's playing is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And it's the thinner that the range gets of what it's playing, the more likely that you are going to have an uptick. And that's kind of what it did here. I mean, so if we look at the range here, between this candlestick as well as this candlestick, really the range was 648 down to 374. But as we go on along and the candlesticks are forming, the range is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Then the range is really going from 519 to 450-ish, and that range kind of sticks to it. And the longer that range stays at a very tight range, you do get a nice little uptick. But it's not an uptick that you want to kind of hold for long term. It's just a quick little profit to lock it in and say, what, I'm happy with the profit. I just made 3%, 2%, whatever it might be. But yeah, still not interested in DGB. Let me look at some of these comments, and then I'll do my best to answer a lot of these. And this is kind of the time where I want to interact with everybody that's on the chat. So if you have any questions, let me know. But probably for the next 20 minutes, I will be answering questions that you guys might have as best as I can. And then at 12 o'clock, I do have to end this live stream. Let's see, any good questions? And if you guys do have a good question, utilize emoji just so it sticks out. Ghana in the house. Yes. I don't know if it's morning for you guys or the evening, but yeah, welcome, Ghana. Jim, you believe BTC would be the last man standing? Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what traders and investors and developers think, and kind of determine what is going to be the true BTC. I don't know. I mean, hopefully BTC is a true BTC, but BCH or BCC, whatever they're going to call it, could really take over, depending on how much support it's getting. Logan making pounds and pounding that like button. Yeah, make sure you guys pound that like button. Chris, welcome, buddy. What happened to Zcash? And thank you for using @CryptoTraders Room, because then that stands out. I know it's a question, towards me. I can answer that question because I know conversations do happen amongst the people that are on this live stream, and that question kind of stands out. So thank you for using that. What happened to Zcash? Why price breakdown so long now? Let's take a look at Zcash. I've never traded Zcash, but yeah, at one point, I mean, Zcash was valued not in the sense of market cap, but in the sense of the actual price per coin, was valued above Ether. But yeah, I mean, everything's breaking down too. You got to remember, just because Ether and Litecoin are breaking down doesn't mean that Zcash is not going to also break down. It is going to break down. The overall trend of the market is going to follow a lot of the cryptocurrencies, especially if people are in the profit. I mean, if they made huge profits. I mean, I remember Zcash being at like $60. What did it run up to? Like 300 and something, 350 bucks, I think it ran up to. If my chart would load properly. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice chart. I do like it. I do like these up and down swings. And, of course, we got some cup and handle formations, and here's another cup, but it's not a true. It is a true cup, but it did break out above the actual resistance up here. And considering it broke out, it didn't really. It made a nice handle, but the breakout was not above the high. I mean, it basically broke right back down at the prior resistance, which was right up here. But yeah, I mean, how far can this thing really go? I wish I can get the whole chart up. Let's look at maybe a 3-hour chart. Do I think BTC is heading back down to 2660? I don't know, man. I didn't even think it would be at 2700 or 2750. I didn't think it'd be at this level at all. But my speculation is that, there are people that out there that want to take advantage of both coins. So what are they going to do? They're going to buy on an exchange, transfer it to either their, hardware wallet, or transfer it to an exchange that actually, will support the split. So that's why we kind of saw the price go up on Coinbase or GDAX, is because there's a lot more buying that's going on. People are buying and they're transferring the coin. So there's a lot more buying than selling that's going on. Now, if they were buying and selling, that would kind of even itself out. But right now, there's just the buying is outweighing the selling. And I think, the reason why, a lot of these other cryptocurrencies are going down too is because money's shifting over from them to BTC so that they can take advantage of the split. But I'm going to zoom out of this as much as I can to see exactly what the history was prior to, because I really have not analyzed Zcash, to be honest with you. So thank you for mentioning this, because really I wasn't looking at analyzing Zcash at all. Can I look at Verge? Is that on my list? It's not on my list. I'll put it on my list. I probably won't be able to take a look at it today, considering I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes answering questions as well as analyzing Zcash. But that is on my list for Monday. I'll take a look at that. Zcash went to 450. Is that what it was? Yep. So I was waiting for this chart to kind of load. And I think let me zoom out more. No. Let's look at the daily first. Andrew, thank you so much for joining, man. I appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend, bud. Okay, so of course, every cryptocurrency's had that pump, but we're going to take a look at it just prior to right about here. See how far I can zoom in without getting that first day of listing candlestick on there, because it does make charting a little hard. I'm just going to put a couple horizontal lines currently right now to see how that looks in comparison to the history of it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. So basically, I mean, above the current price is basically going to be the support. I'm sorry, the resistance. Below the actual current price is going to be the support. So we're looking at basically a one-day candlestick, kind of looking at the overall chart of where it's been and possibly where it wants to go, or where would it like to go? Where would we like it to go? It's probably more like it. So we can see that basically, it is going to have certain key levels that it's getting rejected from. But yeah, these in the prior past, I mean, this is just pretty ugly. And there is somebody who bought it at 2,000. Hopefully, they're still not holding it. I'm expecting it to get back up to 2,000, but yeah, I remember looking at this, back in the 40s and 60s. I mean, it's almost like Ether. Who knew Ether was going to be taking that type of leap? But yeah, this thing has been nothing but trending down. Nothing impressive whatsoever. And I'm hoping it keeps these indicators that I'm actually plotting out here. Let's see. Oh man, this could be actually could possibly be a good trade later on. I think the more I analyze it to see if possibly she's going to have a nice uptick. She might not. Let's see, where else? What does she like to do? Yeah, this is probably the ugliest chart that I've ever seen, to be honest with you guys. Especially on the daily. I mean, having a nice sustained, pushed up to the upside, a very nice push, up to 450, and then just continuously breaking down. I mean, this is going to end up forming some sort of triangle. If it gets back down to the levels of 95 to $100, and it could easily do that. I mean, it got to 140. But yeah, I think this is something I will heavily be analyzing going forward to see how she's going to react to some of this trend line that I'm drawing out. And these are on the one-day candlestick, so we'll have to get a little more granular to be able to look at this a little better. But yeah, if this thing was to really come down, and because basically the market is in a sell-off, basically, I mean, it's that $95 level. The $110 to $95 level is really where she could come down to. Should, that's always the magic word, should, unless there's buyers out there that are going to support it. But yeah, right now, yeah, for a long-term investor, yeah, this is the ugliest chart. Anybody that's shorted, it's looking great for them. I mean, they could have probably rode it up to the top and then shorted at the top and rode it right back down. But yeah, I can't say why it's downtrending. Especially the way it is on the daily, where it's just continuously downtrending. Yeah, having nice little, upticks here and there, but nothing, that's going to be sustained for a longer period of time. This thing has been, from June 20th, it's just been downtrending. Yes, we do have a nice little uptick, dead cat bounce, but it's breaking right back down. So we'll have to see exactly, how this thing is going to play out to these to these support, if it's going to find a good support and bounce off of that level, or if she's just going to continuously break down because people are losing faith in Zcash, or, they decide, what, I don't want to be in Zcash anymore. I'm going to take my money out and put it into, I don't know, Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Cash, whatever it might be. Carl, welcome. Yeah, you got here a little late. I got about 9 minutes left, bud. Nobody's wanted to touch Zcash for about a month. It's been a bad downtrend. Zcash price usually follows Ether price, staying above it. Yeah, I was surprised that it actually followed, the path of Ether and made it up to 400 and what was that? $420 or $440. I mean, that was a big move for it, and hopefully nobody stayed in that trade expecting it to hit 500 to 1,000. Expecting another, I don't know, another BTC possibly. Yeah, ugliest chart. It definitely is. I mean, there was, okay, let's go back to it. As I'm answering some of these questions. Zcash, where are you? Yeah, for long-term investors, it's pretty ugly. Let's see how far it'll allow me to zoom out. Carl, what coins have been covered? Oh man, I cover, some of the ones that were on Bitfinex. So I briefly talked about IOTA, EOS, Zcash. We looked at Monero. We really covered some of the cup and handle formations to kind of, look out for. And, unless you're really looking for them, you're not going to be able to find them. I mean, same thing, cup and handle. I mean, actually, we already looked at this cup and handle where it didn't really form a true cup. But yes, it's a cup, but it broke out above the prior resistance here. And considering it broke out above the prior resistance, it really needs to stay below this high here or touch the high and then come right back down. But considering she broke out above it, we didn't have that system. We had the handle forming, but we didn't have the sustained push to the upside like we normally do. And I can't even load much stuff on the 1 hour. Or can you throw up a little bit looking at the Zcash chart? When I looked at this a long time ago, and I'm talking about back in December, and seeing, that it was like $2,000 and how much it just crashed. And I remember it crashing down. I remember this here. I remember it coming down to that level, and I was like, man, this could easily hit the $10 handle. It could easily touch it. And I mean, who knew? I mean, from that $25 or $20, for it to go up to what, 300, 400 something bucks. But yeah, I mean, just this part alone here, if anybody bought this at $100 and didn't sell at 400, same thing with Ether. If you bought it at 100 and you didn't sell at 400, now you gotta, possibly stomach this crazy dip, and it's just continuously dipping. And it probably, gives up false hope when it has a nice little dead cat bounce. That hope that it returning back to where it was kind of gets diminished, and it breaks down. So every little uptick, people are minimizing their loss. It breaks down. Instead of somebody selling down here and having a bigger loss because they ended up buying it, let's just say they bought it at $250. Instead of them selling at 167 for a bigger loss, they kind of waited for a nice little dead cat bounce, and they could have probably sold at 217 instead of selling at 160-ish. So they kind of minimized their loss just a little bit before it continuously broke down. But yeah, it's an ugly chart. I do like the fact that on a smaller time frame, especially the 1 hour, what it's currently doing. And let's go ahead and zoom in a little more. Zcash buy wall is big on Bittrex. Yeah, I haven't looked at Bittrex for Zcash. How much is the wall? And yeah, you got to be careful on Bittrex too. Let me show you guys something real quick on Bittrex. And I mentioned it before, but I don't mention it on a regular basis. And I know we do get a good amount of new traders to come on. Look at BitShares for one more ugly chart. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm done looking at ugly charts, but I'll put BitShares on my list. Yeah, a lot of these cryptocurrencies are pretty ugly. I don't know. We're just going to look at, it doesn't really matter what we look at, to be honest with you. Let me just say all Bitcoin dark. Here you are. So I'll click on Bitcoin dark. So when you're looking at, the volume, you don't want to look at the BTC in volume on cryptocurrencies on Bittrex if this thing will load. Yeah, the BTC in volume is very misleading because there are people that are putting in lowball offers, to sell for a higher amount or whatever it might be. So if we really look at this, and say, okay, you know what, the buy side is 56 BTC, 56.8 BTCs is on the buy side, 300.5 BTCs is on the ask side. So by looking at that, you're thinking, oh man, buyers are stacked up versus the sellers. Sellers are stacked up versus the buyers. This is going to drop. You got to look at the BTCD and you got to actually look at the coins that are being traded. Don't look at the BTC in volume. Look at the actual coins. So if we look at the actual coins, we have 2.8 million on the buy side versus 3,490 on the sell side. So that tells me that, you know what, there's a lot more coins out there, you know, that are looking to be bought than there are looking to be sold. But if you look at the BTC in volume, then you're going to say, oh, there's a lot more sellers and buyers. I'm not getting into this trade. So don't look at the BTC in volume. Always look at the actual coin in volume. All right, so I got about a couple minutes left, but let's take a look at this. Maybe I need to zoom into 15-minute chart. And I just want to see if the trend is getting, you know, smaller and smaller and smaller to where it might have a pop up to the upside. And as of right now, no, the trend is really from, you know, 175 bucks, let's just say, to 194 bucks. We'll just say 195 bucks to make it easy. So from, you know, 175 to 195. You know, it's a trend of $20 basically. What I would like to see Zcash and what I like to see any cryptocurrency do, if it's piquing my interest and I'm looking at getting into a trade and having a little bit of a position, is I want to see this trend, this range, get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. So, and this is probably going to be the last thing that I cover, guys. So currently right now, I'm just going to put these up momentarily, just real quick. And make them a little more bolder for you guys to be able to see. So currently right now, this is the trend that it's bouncing from. You know, it's just going to keep bouncing from these trends. It's really all it's going to do. You know, it's that $20 difference. What I would like to see this thing do going forward is I'd like to see it come up and start consolidating at a tighter range. And as long as this range gets tighter and tighter and tighter, I know that eventually she's going to have a push up. You know, this is too much of a wider range for me, to be honest with you. But, you know, if we look at that range to, I don't know why this isn't cooperating with me. You know, so if we look at the range here, this range is tighter. It's completely tighter. So the range that it's playing, basically, if it does do this, and that's a big if, is 184 to about 180. So that's a $5 range that it's playing. And the tighter that this range gets, and that the smaller that the range is, you know, within the US dollar or the USD that it's playing, the more of a chance of it really popping up to the upside. So if you really analyze a lot of these charts and you see a wider gap within the range that it's playing for X amount of time, and then the range gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, and the tighter it gets, then eventually you're just going to have that crazy massive push to the upside. But who knows exactly, you know, how much to the upside is it gonna go? And that's when you got to look at really the resistance and say, oh, okay, you know what, it hit this range and the range is very tight, but you know, how far is it going to go up? Well, we got our resistance right there. You know, so it's going to hit that resistance and possibly get pushed back down, or it's going to have a confirmed breakout above that resistance and keep going up. And if it does do that, then it's going to have a new resistance, and that new resistance is going to be, if it allows me to plot this out, and that new resistance is going to be right about there, as well as right here. No, this thing does not want to cooperate. So when you have these points plotted out, you know exactly, you know, at what point could she possibly hit before having a turnaround. But yeah, so always look at the range. So right now for me on this, the range is, it's too much. It's 20 bucks. That's a big range that it's bouncing up and down from. And I could play these ranges. I could buy at the support here, you know, 175, and then, you know, sell at 195. You can do that. You can, but this $20 really, that's all you're playing. You know, if you don't have a very sizable position, it's very hard to make a good amount of money and see that sizable return. But yeah, I like to play them when I see this range is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and the tighter it gets, the more of a huge breakout you're going to have. And, you know, and then it'll basically tell you if this is a, you know, if momentum traders are stepping in because they're breaking key levels of resistance. And when they start breaking key levels of resistance, you know, and they're breaking it out with a vengeance, it's a confirmed breakout. And then that's, you know, where it tends to kind of go parabolic. So, And these are the kinds of things that I'm looking for. So, if anybody sees these type of things, the best thing to do is just kind of say, hey, you know what? The range on this has been getting tighter. It was $15 for X amount of days. And now for the past 2 days, the range has been within $1, and that's something to really monitor, because, tighter and tighter and tighter that range gets, the probability of it having a nice push to the upside is there. But all right, a couple more questions, and then I am done analyzing charts. But yeah, this weekend, if you guys are really analyzing charts and you're looking for getting into a position, look at the trend. How is it trending, between a certain price point? And is that trend getting tighter and tighter and tighter for it to possibly have a nice uptick? It doesn't have news to hint the price issue. So the price drop, is that what you mean? Yeah, I haven't really been following Zcash, so but yeah, the overall market is being drugged down. So it's just not Zcash that's fallen. Everything else is falling with it. You don't do Zcash. We looked at today EOS. We looked at IOTA. We looked at Monero. We looked at OMG. But yeah, on Mondays and Tuesdays videos, I basically covered EOS, IOTA, OMG, and SAN. And those are really the cryptocurrencies that I'm kind of focused on right now, especially OMG. I would like to get that position at 1. And if it would have hit that 1, that would have been great, but it hit $1.02. And I would have been locking in profits at 125, 130, maybe 135. But probably 135, I would have been completely out. Cup and handle on F 3-minute GDAX. I won't be able to take a look at that, but you know what? If you spotted that, that's awesome, because those are things you should be definitely looking for. Look for those cup and handles, look for the inverted head and shoulder, and then look for the actual head and shoulder fake. Off to swim lesson with the kiddos. Rocky Mountain, have fun. Hopefully I'm not reading this message a little too late and you're still on here, but thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Look at LTC. I don't have time to look at LTC. This live stream was supposed to end, but I'm just keeping it going just a little bit to be able to answer everybody's question. But yeah, if you remind me, crypto never sleeps. If you remind me on Monday, and probably, to be honest with you, I will probably look at LTC and Ether and BTC on Monday, as well as Ethereum Classic, because those are my top cryptocurrencies that I like to trade. Sarah, thank you so much. I appreciate that comment, and I'm glad that you find this very interesting. And I hope everybody finds this interesting. And if you do find it interesting, come on, pound that like button. We got 17 likes so far. Let's see it go up. We got 41 people and only 17 likes. So I'm sure there's other people that do find this information helpful. And if you found this information, what I talked about, with the cup and handle, the trend range, as well as the inverted head and shoulder, as well as the head and shoulder, pound that like button. Pound that like button. Potters, welcome, buddy. I'm getting ready to get off, though, answering a couple questions, but thanks for joining, bud. Geo's getting pumped on Bittrex. Yeah, man, I don't like Bittrex at all. There's just so many things that are getting pumped. I'm not going to really look at Geo specifically, but I just want to see if what's being pumped. Really, there aren't too many things. Sub 62. Really, there's only a couple things in the green. 7 cryptocurrencies or 8 cryptocurrencies in the green. But there's BTC, Bitcoin Dark, and Komodo, which there is a relationship between both of them. And I don't know if they're still allowing you to convert BTC Dark to Komodo, but there was at one point where you can convert one BTC Dark, Bitcoin Dark, to Komodo, to 50 Komodos. So Zcash looks prime for day trading. Yeah, a lot of them look prime for day trading. What charts do you use for day trading? I use a chart that's provided to me. I don't know what you mean. What chart do I use? You mean what time frame, possibly? And it all depends too what you're, what exchange you're on. But the time, I'll look at, if I'm day trading, I'll look at, the 1 minute, the 3 minutes, the 5 minutes, 15 minutes, the 30 minutes, then 1 hour. I tend to look at, just every time frame. And for long-term investors, you should be really looking at, a longer time frame, maybe the 12 hours, the 1 day, 3 weeks. But anything that has, movement, it's got a life, it's got a heartbeat, it's got up and down swings. It's great for day trading. That's what we look forward to. That's what we want. And that's why I don't want I don't want to offend anybody, but that's why I don't want BTC to go up to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. I don't want BTC to do that, to be honest with you guys. And some of you guys might hate me for saying it, but then if I wanted to trade it, I can't trade it. It's going to be very stable at those price points. The only people that are going to be able to trade it are the whales, because they'll be able to purchase a good amount, where, they'll get a sizable return if it does have those up and down swings. But, for a little guy that's trading, and BTC's up to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. I mean, they can only buy little fraction increments of it. And, the reward won't be there. Jim, not a problem, man. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Carl from Cambodia. Welcome, buddy. 33 likes. I don't know. Let me refresh this, because I see, oh, wow. Yeah. 32 likes. So I guess I had to hit refresh for it to actually show up. But yeah, I was seeing 17 at one point, but yeah, I was wrong. 32. I'll take it. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate, hitting that like button, especially if you find this information helpful. Help us out, because really by hitting that like button, it's just going to make Crypto Traders Room a little more noticeable, so that when we do these live streams, they'll show up on somebody's feed. Logan, thank you so much for joining, man. It's been a while since I've talked to you. I don't think I saw you on the last 2 live streams. And I was actually going to email you today and be like, I hope he's okay. Like, I haven't heard from him in a while. And then when I looked at Slack this morning, I saw that you had a couple messages on there. I was like, all right, he's good. He's alive. He's not pulling it. He's not pulling a Danny Baker on us and taking off for a while. Yeah, busy, man. I hear you. I hear you, man. Life is busy. Life is busy. But yeah, so, this is going to be the end of the live stream. I want to thank everybody for joining. From my first subscriber to my last subscriber, I want to thank you guys, because if it wasn't for you, or ladies, if it wasn't for you, this would not be possible at all. I would be kind of talking to myself. And that's kind of the way it was on the first live stream. I actually went back and watched the first live stream that I did. And I remember I had like one person joining. I was like, whoa, I'm like, I got one person joining. Thanks for joining. But majority of the time, there was a lot of silence, because nobody was on the chat. Nobody was chatting away. I only had 1 or 2 viewers, and that was it. So thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate this. Thank you so much for really giving me your time, because that's what you're doing. A lot of you guys think that I'm giving you my time, but you're also giving me your time. You're able to basically, log on and be interactive on this chat. Some of you guys I know, live stream this or listen to this in the background from work, and that's awesome. That is awesome that you guys take me to work with you. I'm very humble. I'm very thankful to currently be in the position, where we're almost hitting 2,200 subscribers in a very short period of time. The channel is growing. The live chats are becoming very interactive, and that's kind of what I thrive for. And you motivate me to keep doing these on a day-to-day regular basis. So thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate it. And if you're a new-time viewer, don't forget to click on that subscribe button, as well as a post notification, and then stay connected with us on Steemit, Twitter, as well as Facebook. And if you don't have a Steemit account, set up a Steemit account. It's a great way to earn money. It's a great way to earn some Steem. And I've said it before in the past. I mean, you can basically, take a picture and post it. Just get a good amount of followers, get them to upvote your picture, your article, whatever it is, your video. I mean, you could do a blog about anything and upload it onto Steem and actually earn a little bit of Steem. And if you do that, find us on Steem by clicking on our link, and make sure to follow us and help us out by upvoting our videos as well too. But I want to thank everybody for joining. You guys are awesome, or ladies. I want everybody to enjoy their weekend, be safe with your trades. I mean, there's a lot of pump and dumps. There's a lot of uncertainties that are going on, and as long as you have a plan of execution and a plan of exit, and stick to that plan, don't break your rules, stick to those rules that you've set for yourself, you will survive this game. You will be there tomorrow and the day after and the day after. It's the ones that don't have a plan of execution that get taken out of the game. And I don't want to see anybody get taken out of the game, because that's really what we're doing here. We're playing a game of numbers. We're chasing numbers. We're analyzing numbers. And I don't want to see anybody get taken out of the game. The longer you stay in the game, the smarter you're going to get about trading, and the more money that you're actually going to end up making in the long run. But yeah, don't risk it all. Don't get greedy with your trades. Be humble, be happy with what you have. And with that being said, this is Crypto Trader, aka Jonas. I want you guys to enjoy your weekend, be safe, nothing but peace and love and the utmost respect for everybody that's in this room. Until Monday, that's when I'll talk to you guys again. Be good and enjoy your weekend.